Everybody has a right to equal protection.
Yes.
And so does an equal application of the law. Every person in this country and in this state has a right to marry a person of the opposite sex, according to the
And why not
original
extend it to
definition
the
of
same
marriage.
sex? Why isn't that's clearly within the bounds of a reckoning of equal protection?
Because that's not
why
in
not
the
do that?
that's not in the historical definition of marriage. It never has been. It's going to be created if it is created, which I do not believe it should be or would be.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there he is, Roy Moore, the Alabama Chief Justice, and of course, you know Mr. Cuomo, who says he always plays things right down the middle. He has no bias. I've had little Twitters back and forth with him, and he insists he's unbiased. And they're talking about, of course, the decision by the U.S. Supreme Court not to prevent gay marriage from going forward in Alabama until, while the Supreme Court decides the issue in general. And Moore refused to obey that order, and here you got Cuomo going after Moore. And again, this is very important. And I'm just saying, if you believe in the sanctity of marriage as being between a man and a woman, don't be bullied. Don't be bullied. Watch Roy Moore and be inspired. Here's more from Moore.
You don't believe that as a matter of personal opinion, right? But times change, definitions change. We didn't think blacks were equal to whites. That changed.
I believe that's a matter of law, because our rights contained in the Bill of Rights do not come from the Constitution. They come from God. It's clearly stated in the Declaration of Independence.
Our laws do not come from God, Your Honor, and you know that. They come from man.
All right. Our rights do not come from God. They come from man. Now, unfortunately for Mr. Cuomo, the judge is very well versed in our founding fathers and our founding documents and our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence and and the law. And he uses all of those to school to a great extent. And you may disagree, but he's presenting facts. You may disagree on how you should interpret those facts. But what Moore is saying is really indisputable, as you're going to hear from this point on. Here we go.
Let me ask you one question. Chris. Is the Declaration of Independence law?
You would call it organic law as a basis for future laws off of it?
I would call it the organic law because the United States Code calls it organic law. It is organic law because the law of this country calls it the organic law of our country, means where our rights come from. And if they come from there, men can't take them away.
Our rights.
All right, well, he was just about to say our rights come from man. He was just going to say that again. He said it once before, and you'll hear it again. Very interesting conversation. Very revealing, not surprising that Mr. Cuomo would feel that way. Here's some more.
Our rights do not come from God. That's your faith. That's my faith. But that's not our country. Our laws come from the collective agreement and compromise.
It's not a matter of faith, sir. It's a matter of organic law, which states we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and the only role of government, as stated in the next sentence, is to secure those rights for us.
All right. Very hard to argue with. Very, very hard to argue with. Look, our laws are also based on, Judeo-Christian ethics. That's why we are a Judeo-Christian nation. Our laws are not based on Islamic law. They're based on the commandments to a great extent. And there's no disputing, again, the factual nature of what the judge is saying when it comes to natural law and what it says about it. And I mean, that's in dispute. Now, you could agree with Cuomo that things change. Here's one more.
Are you going to let me answer?
Absolutely, sir. Please do.
Okay, I've never said that's about my faith and it's about my religion. It is not, as a matter of fact. It's about the organic law of our country, which states very clearly that our rights, our pursuit of happiness, quoted in Loving versus Virginia, come from God. Now, God gave us that definition, and that definition has remained in America for many, many centuries.
All right, so there you go. Who do you agree with? I got a feeling I know on the Steve Malzberg Show.